Hello my friends, it's Ray, aka Mr. Piggy, back in the shop today to do a video review for Friends of Habanos. Turn the music down a little bit. The request this week is for larger ring cigars that I don't typically keep a lot of. And it was actually my desire today to smoke one of two cigars, either a Romeo Churchill or a La Punta. The La Punta was really going to be my choice. But the other day when I was scrounging around looking for some of these larger ring cigars, because like I said, I don't keep a lot of them, I came across a box. Of these. Now, before you guys, I know tomatoes won't fit through the lens, so go ahead and chuck lettuce, tomatoes, whatever it is you want. It's only your monitor. But back in 2003, and that's when these are from, I guess I was still foolish enough to occasionally buy a box of Edición Limitadas. So much for my Spanish lingo. But these are, at least apparently, 203 Cohiba DCLs, double Coronas. They're not all there, so I don't want to trash the box about too much. And these are GK as in kilo, I as in indigo, AG003. Now, of course, one of the reasons why I typically don't buy a lot of El cigars, and this is a prime example, and I'll grab a couple of pictures of these. I mean, first off, these super dark wrappers don't really do much for me. And neither do the really, really crude cigars. And I gotta tell you, these things look more or less like they've come out of the south end of a northbound animal, more than a premium cigar. They smell nice. They do have a nice aroma. Looks like this one here's got a busted foot, so maybe we'll smoke that one. And like I said, to be honest, I didn't even recall buying these. So this one's dedicated to you, John. Because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gone looking. And if it weren't for you requesting that I smoke one, I'd probably be smoking a better cigar, so it's on you, babe. So let's package these things back up, get them out of here. Just put them back in the humidor. I can't even, like I said, I don't remember buying these, much less what they might smoke like. So let's ditch these. By the way, for some of you guys who follow my humidor rantings, if you ever get a mildew smell out of your humidor, especially solid surface humidor, those of you who have largely wood humidors, especially with a lot of aromatic type cedars and woods, it would probably largely get covered up. But for those of you like me who have solid surface humidors, if you ever get a mildew type odor, of course it's generally an RH and temperature problem, but the first place to look is this brown cardboard. This stuff can pick up a stink and start to give out a pretty nasty smell just about any time it gets a little too moist. So this is one of the first places to look if you're getting a mildew odor in your humidor, and I don't mean L's, I mean this brown packaging. So to be perfectly honest with you, I hardly ever smoke cigars this big, and I got a lot of work to do here today in the shop, so I'm hoping that this guy will just kind of keep me company. No doubt I'll probably have to relight it 100 times because I got quite a bit of CNC work to do. I got a few projects that I have to do, including make a couple of these heater assemblies for people who are waiting on them. You know who you are. And it's just about done, I promise. Along with some ducted fan assemblies to kind of clear out some of my backlog of some people who have been waiting for some work. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do today, and maybe design myself a new heater. I've been working on a new slimmer line heater assembly. So you know, I'll be in the shop. It's kind of toasty today. Currently it is about 80.5 degrees and 55 RH. And the humidors are just kind of plugging away. This is my venerable test box over here. And I got a generation, I don't know what that one is, a 10, and I got a generation now 13 being tested over here on my left. You guys can't see it, but it is what it is. That's where the cigars went their way back to. Let's see what it's like. Since I can't stand these double bands. It's about time that these things hit the ash can here, the pig. Today we're using the pig tray. And we'll be chasing the stogie with a little iced tea. Since Lady Piggy's out of the house, she's up at Sister Woman's house. That's my affectionate term for my sister-in-law. And they are going to some concert this evening. I haven't managed to get a lot done today other than to go to McDonald's and get myself a sausage McMuffin. Look for some hay that I didn't buy, and managed to get myself a 2-inch prime steak for dinner. But let's light this bad boy up and see what comes of it. I'm sorry guys, the cold draw thing really isn't me. I can't taste much of a cigar that has no flame. Of course, as you know, I keep cigars fairly dry, so the bouquet is also dry. The wetter you keep cigars, the more I think you'll get as far as bouquet and aroma. The smoke itself is a bit strong. It's actually kind of a pinch, kind of a pinch on the nose. So we'll see what the retrohale holds for it. So far, nothing to speak of. As you can imagine, and the joke I made on one of the threads on FOH was that I can't imagine sitting watching me smoke one of these things for 3 hours while I pan it for 3 hours. So my expectation is not necessarily high. But I'd like to give it a fair shot. I mean, a good cigar is a good cigar. I don't really care if it's a Fonseca or whether it's a double-banded behemoth like this thing. I'd like to see a cigar get a fair shake, and to be perfectly honest with you, I would do nothing more than to be able to turn around and do my CAD work or do my machine work with what I'd consider a fantastic cigar by my side while I do the work. So far, and probably one of the reasons why I don't smoke too many Churchills or double Coronas, is for the most part they're a little bit too mild for me. I have been smoking cigars for over 30 years, so I have to tell you that I think if I were judging my palate against a lot of other folks, mine is not as sharp and not as crisp. I think a lot of people can taste some things that I just cannot taste. So mild cigars are not really my forte. If a cigar is too mild, I don't mind it as long as there's complexity or character, which really keeps my interest in a cigar. But a mild monotonic cigar, I might as well be smoking Macanudos. That just does absolutely nothing for me. So I can't really say that I'm experiencing anything really distinct here at this point in time. It's not completely lacking in flavor. There's a hint of sweetness. There's literally no pepper. I'm sorry, today I forgot my Cigar Smoker's Handbook of Power terms, so we won't be using terms like capsaicin, one of my favorites. Well, a little creamy, a hint of honey. Again, at this point in time, this thing could easily fall into the category of non-Cuban cigar as far as I'm concerned, because there just isn't really enough here so far that's got me very interested in it. The draw is beautiful. I think a lot of you might like that. I do find it interesting. You probably can't see it, but with some of these cigars, as they draw, you'll actually see this flux come through and the smoke continue to exit the head. And that, for me, is kind of an indication that the cigar is just a little bit too loose. Now, this guy is not loose really in any way, shape, or form, but it does have a really nice draw. And I think that's probably just due to its girth. I'm so used to smoking much narrower ring cigars that this seems like a very, very open draw for me. A lot of you would probably really enjoy it. I actually expect a little bit more fight back, but I'm not going to complain about this. There's plenty of smoke. There's just not a lot of taste in the smoke. As noted, I don't smoke a lot of cigars this ring, so I'm actually moved from my typical 2-draw technique to a 3-draw technique in order to get enough flux and enough smoke that I can taste it. Now, one of the things that I found in doing these video reviews is that I do often find myself just not only talking too much and saying the same things over and over again, but trying to smoke too quickly. And it's that thing. It's the idea that you're under a microscope and that someone is literally spending their time with you, watching everything that you do, and they want to see what kind of tricks you got up your sleeve. I don't have a comic sidekick, so I mentioned that last time. No news, no new news to report, folks. I'm not going to say that the cigar is lousy. It's not. It's got a nice, creamy texture. It's got good mouthfeel. Obviously, in this length of cigar with this girth, the smoke isn't hot, even though I'm kind of pumping away at it. And it's very pleasant. But it's just average. Again, I'm not going to say it's a bad cigar because it's certainly not. But I think that if I were this far into the La Punta that I wanted to smoke, I would probably have some, good tasting notes and the rest. Now, again, I do understand that this is the evolution and this is the way the double Coronas is made. I don't think that they're designed to get right in your face immediately in the first inch, because by the time you get down here to 2 or 3 inches, assuming that you'd smoke it that long, you're flat on your face. So I don't think that that's necessarily the way that these cigars are rolled and blended in the first place, and that's probably one of the reasons why I tend to stick with the more pungent Petite Coronas, and even Lonsdales when I go for something that's closer to this length. So that was a massive amount of smoke. That was 5 draws on the cigar. And I did get more out of it. But quite frankly, I really don't want to puff away at a cigar like it's the, piston on a steam engine. Again, some hints of cream. I actually got that warm enough that I got a little pepper, a little bit of maybe white pepper. Nothing nasty in the retrohale. As a matter of fact, no sting at all. Of course, it is now a 14-year-old box of cigars. I would imagine somebody probably really would like these. Mostly honey, a little bit of oat flavor. Nothing really pungent. No leather, none of the typical almond that I like. It's not tannic at all. No converted tannins. No gasoline. Nothing that, again, you might get out of a more tannic cigar. A pleasant cigar. Glad I'm not drinking something stronger or attempting to follow a strong meal, because this would not be the cigar for it. The nuance is nice. Again, I can't complain. It's a very, very pleasant smoking cigar. It actually reminds me, believe it or not, it would be maybe the early stages of a El Rey del Mundo cigar, with the creamy, kind of oaty, cream on cereal type of taste. Again, it's very pleasant. It's just not something that I'm going to rate as excellent. Some more straight tobacco with that puff. I'm going to fire up the machine over here, and I got a couple of parts to make, so I got a little CAD work to do. So I'm going to get to that. I'm sure you don't want to watch me do that stuff. So I'll keep this guy by my side, and I'll check back in with you, I don't know, maybe in about a half an hour 15 minutes, a half an hour, and we'll see whether he's going anywhere. So I thought I'd stop back in for a minute and have a bit of a chat. So this is about where we're at currently. Excuse me. I don't know, we're looking at about now 5 inches left in the cigar. And about an inch of it was quite enjoyable. Kind of more the same. A lot of the cereal taste, a lot of the, I'll call it Cheerios taste, for lack of a better term. Oaty, milky, slightly sweet. Enjoyable, like I said, not a bad cigar in any way, shape, or form. But the past couple of minutes, and it's the reason why I'm coughing a little bit, is it has taken on kind of a tarry, acidic taste. Now, again, I don't know whether that's, I don't necessarily think it's humidity in here. It's only 52 RH in here, so it's not very humid. And the cigar's still smoking well. It hasn't turned to mush. I have not touched it up at all. It's not gone out. I've been walking around with the cigar in my mouth, so that makes it a little sloppy after a while. But I can't necessarily attribute it to that either. It's just, and again, I suppose this is one of the reasons why I tend to prefer smaller cigars. It would be nice to be more closer to the end of this cigar, so that if I got this type of taste, I would just dispose of it, versus midway through a cigar like this, which you know, would not only be a waste of tobacco if it proves to be a better cigar, but you know, certainly a waste of cigar resources, considering I don't know what these would cost these days, but I would imagine this is probably not an inexpensive cigar based on today's rabid, silly collector market. It seems to be more a temporary hint of bad news, so hopefully that flag was put up for no reason. Maybe I've smoked through you know, a bit of a stem or some folded up pungent leaf or something that maybe just made it a hint on the strong side. But it's definitely changing personality. It's feeling more like actually a younger, more pronounced, more in your face Robusto now than the nice mellow cigar that it was in the beginning. Now again, I can appreciate cigar progression, and I look forward to that as my palate gets dull. I like a little bit more flavor, a little bit more intensity. It would be nice if that were accompanied with complexity, but not really here. It is coming on with some kind of basic strength, more pepper, more straight tobacco, and kind of a leathery taste. I don't really care for the taste of leather too much in cigars, but a bit more leathery. We'll let it go a little bit further. Like I said, I think I'm about halfway through the cigar at this point in time, and just about to start some machining, so by the time I'm done with that process, maybe I can get back and give you another update. It's been interesting. It's kept my interest, to say the least. So I'll be back with you in 10 or 15 minutes or so, maybe a little longer, 15 or 30 minutes, and we'll pick it up there. Thanks for watching. So I've managed to get through making the parts that I needed to make without losing any digits. That would be a good thing. We are down to about 2 3/4 inches left on the DC. I have to make one note about this, and I actually said it at the beginning. Some cigars have just a wonderful smell, and even the smoke off the foot, just smells good. This is not one of those cigars. As a matter of fact, I had to open the door, even turn the fan on in here for a little while, because I was just inhaling too much of this stuff, and it kind of got me to coughing, which is pretty unusual for me. It's not like I just started smoking cigars yesterday, but this has got a pungent, almost toxic feeling smoke. It's just it doesn't smell like burning tobacco. It's literally more like just burning leaves. Now, that's not reflected. That's not reflected necessarily in the taste of the cigar. So much for the link of olfactory to taste. But I find myself continuing to blow the smoke away because the smoke itself is very strong. The cigar has come on considerably stronger. With this much cigar left, obviously, I'm no longer, tugging at it 3, 4, 5 times in order to get smoke. It has had some interesting stages. I did one relight. I got caught up into cutting a couple of parts that really needed my full attention, so that kind of pulled me away. It went through an interesting stage again, where it did get considerably stronger. And now it has a pleasant cinnamony taste. Again, straight tobacco. A lot of the oaty and cream taste is gone. But I can tell you that not in 100 years would I ever guess that this was a Cohiba. There really is certainly none of the hay and grassiness, and that's okay because I'm not a super big fan of that taste anyway. But the characteristic, again, bean flavors, which some people have put to Cohibas, that's not here either. This is just a completely different cigar. And I suppose if I were rating it to other double Coronas, it wouldn't really be my favorite. It certainly wouldn't be as good as a Gigantes, or even a lot of Churchills that I would tend to prefer to smoke. I smoked it down this far, so the cigar has been interesting. It's kept my interest, and it's certainly been enjoyable. It's not something that I could just say, yeah, this was really garbage, because it wasn't. It wasn't a garbage cigar at all. As a matter of fact, some people really might have enjoyed the smoke and the flavor profile, but I'm not really one of them. I'll put the cigar as above average because it did keep my interest. So above average, maybe even to good. I can tell you if I were doing the CA type smoke an inch and toss it, they would have not even touched this cigar because there was really nothing much to be had there in about the first 2 inches. It was just a very mild cigar that you really had to go after in order to get any taste and any flavor out of. Chalking it up, me again, I don't really give numbers to cigars. I prefer to use just a more intuitive or more direct descriptors. It was okay. It was good. Not great, not excellent, not sublime, not worth the money. I could have probably gotten more enjoyment out of smoking a couple of Petite Coronas, if you wanted me to be perfectly honest with you. And maybe, since I'm here smoking the place up and my wife's not around, I might just light up one of those La Puntas as well. Maybe we'll make it a two review day. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging in there. If I know a number of you guys, because I remember reading some reviews about these a number of years ago, like in '06 or something like that. I could be wrong with the dates. Where a lot of guys really raved about them. They just thought that they were excellent. Well, I don't know. Maybe my box isn't as good. Maybe I got different cigars. I don't know. But a lot of things kind of chalked up against this cigar for me. From the aesthetic point, the real dark, crude, ugly wrapper, that was no good. The smell was really off-putting. The taste was good at stages, sometimes mild, sometimes too mild. The construction was good. It's soft now, but it was a nicely made cigar in the sense that of the packing. That was okay. The draw was good. It kept lit well. It put out a lot of smoke, but it's not something that I'm going to go back probably and smoke another soon, or certainly look to buy any more of. Thanks for watching the review. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I will see you back on my channel or back on FOH. Have a good weekend.